Speaker, James Smith, better known, or he prefers to be known as Smitty to his friends, is a barber with the Lancaster Keys Barbershop in Dallas, Texas. His bio and is also in your packet, so you can check that out. Today, James will inspire us with the story of his barbershop ministry. Let's see. You also please hold your questions until the reception afterwards, and it'll be immediately following. And without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to James, or Smitty.
Hi, I'm Sean Rabb, a reporter at Fox 4 News. You know, every year thousands of young African-American men are disabled or die because of hypertension-related problems. Heart failure, heart attack, strokes, and kidney failure.
I was on my way home, and all of a sudden I was hyperventilating. I couldn't breathe or anything.
It was around 8 o'clock p.m. one night, and my son and I were here, and all of a sudden I was banging on the door, and I'm like, what on earth is going on? And all of a sudden I heard someone said, help me, I can't breathe, I can't breathe.
I saw the ambulance lights from our backyard, and I came back in the house, and he was in the ambulance.
The only thing I could think of is he going to die? And Lord, just please don't let my husband die.
This epidemic of hypertension is the main reason why the average life expectancy of an African-American man is just 67. That's a full decade less than white men in this country and men in most third world countries. But you can make a difference. If you're watching this, you're a doctor or healthcare provider in the Dallas area, and an African-American man has come to you with one of these cards. This card says the patient has had his blood pressure checked and it's too high. Where did this card come from? The barbershop. As part of a research program with UT Southwestern Medical School, African-American barbers across the city have been trained to check their customers' blood pressure. Dr. Ron Victor heads the hypertension division at the University of Texas Southwestern Medical School. He writes the chapter on arterial hypertension for Cecil's textbook of medicine and is the medical director of Cut Your Pressure Too, the Dallas Hypertension Barbershop Study. Dr. Keith Ferdinand is an expert on hypertension in African Americans. He was a member of the committee that wrote the National JNC 6 and 7 hypertension guidelines. Dr. Ferdinand is one of the first to come up with the idea of using barbershops as places to screen blood pressure.
You told me at the beginning that more young black men have a barber than have a doctor, and we found that in the barbershop here that 85% of customers come every week or two to get their hair cut.
The barbershop, I believe, would be a perfect place for the men to have their blood pressure checked.
They have confidence in us as barbers, not only just to cut and style their hair. This is an open forum here where they can come to the barbershop and discuss anything.
For me, it's a natural setting, because it's something I do weekly, and I've been doing, again, this one shop for 19 years now.
It's one of those places where you kind of look forward to going. You can relax a little bit. Well, the Redbird Corners Barbershop is a classic African-American barbershop. It's ran by Miss Van, who's been there close to 15, 20 years.
Most of the people, the hair that I cut, I've been cutting their hair up, a lot of years. When I ask them to do something, they usually will. The ones that don't, usually I wear them down and they decide to get it taken.
Well, she talked to me about it the first time and let me know about what the program was about and what the program was attempting to do. And so that was pretty much it. It was easy sell.
During this brief film, there are two main ideas we want to share with you regarding the barbershop program and hypertension in African-American patients. First, you can trust the blood pressure numbers from the barbers. And second, you can make a difference. First, you can trust the blood pressure readings on these cards. Each of the barbers involved in the program has had several hours of training in proper blood pressure technique. They receive updates each month, and their progress is checked weekly, so the nursing staff can immediately correct any problems.
I make sure that the barbers are accurately staging the blood pressure so that we know that what they're writing down on the sheets is accurate according to what the Welch-Allyn is reading.
And the automated Welch-Allyn machines the barbers use are highly accurate, the best on the market. They're regularly maintained by the project's medical team.
right now I'm calibrating this machine. We want to make sure that every customer who walks into this shop gets an accurate reading.
The barbers in the program are completely comfortable with taking blood pressure.
I was trained by Southwest Medical and Dr. Victor. They had their staff come in and do it a year before we started. So we were just really used to the machine and seeing people get their blood pressure checked. So once they trained us, it was just natural.
Well, the barber chair, of course, was designed to cut hair, but incidentally, it may as well have been designed to measure blood pressure because it's a comfortable straight back chair with these armrests at heart level.
We have two size cuffs, a large and a small, with the small arms. We put it on and start the machine, and we take 3 pressures. We don't put it on as soon as they get in the chair.
Thank you. I'm James Smittty Smith. Just call me Smitty. Let me tell you, I am hyena happy and peacock proud to be here with you today. I'd like for John to come up. I have something special for him. He's the coordinator. And what John did for my wife and I, my daughter, my wife, Tyra Smith, is there to your right, and my daughter, Kendra Smith, is to your left. I'm president of the State Barber Board in the state of Texas. In 1907, the state of Texas decided they were going to regulate barbering, but they couldn't get the wording right. So 1929, they got the wording right. They started the Texas State Board of Barbering and Examiners. It was in existence for 75 years. Now we come under the Texas Department of License and Regulation. But Henry Miller Morgan made history. He is the first African-American barber school owner in the nation. The first barber college in the nation is in 212 East Irving Street in Tyler, Texas. Also, he organized the Texas Association of Tonsorial Artists, which is Latin for barber meaning beard. And he started this organization 61 years ago. We've had 7 presidents, and I'm the 7th president. And I have that authority. I'm bringing it all the way to Portland, Oregon. And I'm going to give John the James Edward Smith Trailblazer Award for directing your natural ability. This is certified to you, John, that for your vision to search me out and invite me to be a speaker at your conference on this day, September the 18th, 2014. Thank you. Thank you. I know some of the questions that you all have been asking today, and I just want you all to know that I asked a question when I got the invitation. I asked the question, I said, well, what can I tell Oregon? What can I tell them? They have everything in place. What can I tell them? And I said, DNA. But it's for you. It's directing your natural ability, and that's all I've been hearing. And that's what you all do, and no one does it better than you, and I applaud you for that. I thank you for that you directing your natural ability. DNA has been known that there's a bank that's in New York, in the First National Bank in New York, and the president left and the vice president left on a Saturday, closed the bank up, and when they left all the money in the vault. They came in that Monday morning, and when they opened up the vault, all the money was gone, even the checks and everything, anything that had to do with the banking system, it was gone. And so they went to the security system and said, look, can you go back and look at the tape, and let's see if we can find anyone who's been in here taking the money or anything. They found out that no one could do it. They saw that there was nothing, no one could enter the bank, no one had entered the vault, none of that. And so the next morning, that morning, people started to line up because they wanted that money. So they called the FDC. The FCD said, you are insured for $250,000 for each customer that comes to the bank. You are insured, so your money is there, no problem. And so then they called in the local authorities, and they came in and they fingerprint, and they checked. They couldn't find any evidence that the money was gone. All they know is the money was missing. They could not find any evidence that the money was missing. They even called in the FBI 2 weeks later. They went through, they investigated everyone, the president, the vice president, everyone, the managers, everybody that even had anything to do in the bank. They checked them. They couldn't find any evidence that anyone is taking the money. Long story short, so they say it's a cold case. Very cold case. And what they end up doing is saying that, hey, we can't find any evidence, any DNA, no evidence at all. One thing that I learned through the O.J. Simpson trial, one good thing that I got out of that is that Barry Check introduced DNA. And from that, in Dallas, Texas, now we have Craig Watkins, who was the DA, first African-American DA. He's running for his 3rd term. Also, John is also going to be the DA in Benton County, Oregon. He's going to be in Dallas this weekend, and he's going to get a chance to meet Craig Watkins. But one of my customers is Billy James Smith. Billy James Smith spent 19 years and 11 months in prison. He was incarcerated because the young lady pointed him out on the balcony and said, "You're the one that raped me." There was they didn't do anything with the DNA, nothing was done. 19 years later, after 3 appeals, Billy was able to get them to go and check the DNA. When they checked the DNA evidence, they found out he was not the person. So they had to release Billy. And he's a customer now, and he's been a customer now for 8 years. And, it's just bringing him back, making sure that he's where he needs to be as a moral citizen, and just working with him. That's really one of the good things is being a barber for 41 years, when you can see things like that. When you look at the disparity, you're talking healthcare, I'm looking at the disparity of individuals with DNA. But what I'm most of all is that directing your natural ability is what we're talking about. And we know DNA in many ways, solve crime, just like I talked about Billy and everything. But it's important that you continue to do the work that you're doing, because no one is going to come up and pat you on your back and say, "Hey, you did a good job." I heard the panelists, it's unfortunate that the pay is not where it needs to be, but you as a citizen, you as a healthcare person, believer within this organization, you need to be a part of that. Make it happen. Make it happen. The history of the barber pole. The red represented the blood and the white represented the bandages. But it stopped right there. The blue didn't come until we brought it to America. In 1545, Henry VIII was in charge, and we had barbers and we had barber surgeons. Barbers were your surgeons then. They worked under the apprenticeship of a surgeon for 9 months, and then they became a barber. Barbers, all they did, they pulled teeth, they did bloodletting, they did it all. So we have the history. We have the history. If they hadn't did that in 1745 when Henry VIII disbanded them because the barbers said, "We want to be barbers, we'll continue to do our stuff," surgeon and Kennedy to do their stuff, and 41 years ago, you're probably looking at Dr. Smith up here this morning. But the blue is when it came in for patriotism, and they put the blue for the vein here in America. So, and that's really important. So when you see the red, white, and blue signs, the barber pole, and it meant something. They did bloodletting. They used leeches before they did bloodletting. So they did it all. They was your barbers. This is one of my customers, Big Boomer. Big Boomer stands 6'7", 375 pounds, agile, hostile, and mobile. Big Boomer, blood pressure today is 116/75, as young as a young man is 16 years old. Big Boomer participated in the blood pressure program that we had in the barbershop. And what he did is that not only that, he's now health conscious of all his health. And he made sure that the doctor knows that. What we have found out in the African-American barbershops is that black men has barbers, but they didn't have doctors. Most black men make the sacrifice. They make the sacrifice for their families and their loved ones. They'll make sure that their wife go and meet her appointments. They make sure that children are taken care of. And what they do, they continue to go to work and just support their family. They let their health go. And that's what we was finding out when we started the program. Now, when I 41 years ago and I look back, I had to go back and apologize to Ms. Doris Frazier, who was my instructor in barber college. 3 things she told me that would make me a successful barber coming out of barber school in 1973. She said, James, said, do not talk your personal business, religion, or politics. And I had to go back and apologize to her because I'd done away with that. Not only would I talk religion, politics, and your personal business, I baptize you. And so these are some of the things. And what Boomer found out just a few months ago, and he went in and he asked for his doctor for a ultrasonogram. He asked him for one. He said, I want you to do one of all my major organs after they saw his liver count number was going up. He said, well, let's do a sonogram. And they did a sonogram. They did it on his liver, they did it on his heart and lungs and everything, and they found a spot on his kidney. They successfully removed one of his kidneys. The cancer was local. They was able to do it. And so they said, okay, that's good. So then they got together, he and the doctor. The doctor said, look, let's give you a CT scan. When they did in the CT scan, they noticed a spot on his thyroid. So they thought it was cancer. You can live without your thyroid. So they said, look, let's be safe. Let's go ahead and remove it. Sure enough, the cancer, it was benign, but they went on and removed his thyroid, everything except for the lymph nodes. This man, Billy Dancer, 6'2", 165 pounds, 139 pounds, and his blood pressure was 139/79. This happened in the barbershop, September the 6th, as I was preparing to come here for this conference. Billy was getting a shave by Miss Martha Moulton, and Billy passed out. Miss Martha, I was giving a man a shave, Deacon Louis Mitchell, and Miss Martha hollered for help. And when she hollered for help, I set my razor down and I immediately ran to her chair, just 2 chairs over. When I got there, Billy was falling. I grabbed him, I laid him down, and I started talking to him. The CPR training that I've had over the years, first time it really ever came in handy. But I said, Billy, are you okay? So I wanted to make sure that he was not having a stroke or anything. Billy, are you okay? I just kept talking to him. What's going on? Did you eat this morning? What's your wife's telephone number? He told me all that information. We got to the part of is that I said I need to keep him calm, and he was just sweating, and it was just a cold sweat. And he said, this normally happens to me 1 time a year. And so this has been going on with Billy once a year because it's, and he just discounted because it only happened 1 time a year. So I said, Billy, what's going on? Are you hurting anywhere? He said, no, I'm not hurting anywhere. He said, I feel good enough to sit up. I said, no, I don't want you to sit up. I said, did you eat anything this morning? He said, yeah. He said, no. I said, well, I said, are you hypertension? Do you take blood pressure medicine? He said, yes, but I didn't take it this morning. And so about that time, the paramedics get in. The fire department got there before the paramedics. They came in and they did his vitals. They did his blood pressure. It was 137/79. And then they took his sugar count. It was at 60. And I remember the paramedics saying, that's good. I said, no, sir, that's not good. That's not good. It's just the opposite. I said, he should, that's why he's fainting. I said, with his blood count, his sugar count being at 60s, I said, no, that's not right. I said, he's probably a type 2 diabetic, and he hadn't even been diagnosed that yet. They said, well, how do you know that? Well, I'm a barber. And so I said, look, he's probably a type 2 diabetic. And I said, Billy, in this barbershop, I get up at 3:45 on Saturday morning, leave my comfortable bed, my wife, and leave and drive to the donut house to get 2 dozen of glazed donuts. When I get the donuts, I drive to the barber shop. I got a big coffee pot, 30-cup coffee pot. I made the coffee, the best coffee ever. So if you're in Dallas, Texas, you need to come by Maxwell House Coffees. I do a mix on it. I'm getting ready to talk to Maxwell House, and it's going to be the Smittty coffee. So you might want to get ready for that too as well. But it was the best coffee. And I said, Billy, I said, before you leave here, you're going to eat a donut and you're going to drink some coffee. He said, no, I got food at home. I said, Billy, if you had eaten this morning, if you had taken your blood pressure medicine, we probably wouldn't even have this conversation today. But since you didn't, it showed up that you do have some problems, and I want to make sure that you not only you get back home. I said you could have fainted driving to the barbershop. You could have killed someone, or you could have been killed coming to the barbershop that early in the morning. And his whole thing was, I need to get to work. It's 8:30 in the morning now, and he need to be at work. So I got his got the office number, had his manager's telephone number. I said, well, look, let's wait and see if they're going to take you to the hospital. If they don't take you to the hospital, I would not call your manager and let them know that you had an emergency here at the barbershop. And Billy, it wasn't because Miss Martha got too close with the razor, but he had some health issues. And so he said, I'm going to work. He said, I still have time to go to work. Now, I don't know about you, but if I sat there and I done worked with a man over 30 minutes, where I could have been working on other customers in the barbershop, and he telling me he's still going to work, I mean, do that. You know, I'm not Boo-Boo the fool. Hey, Boo-Boo, let's go on down here and get us a picnic basket. No, I'm not Boo-Boo. So I'm just saying, I said, Billy, look, I need you to trust me. I need you to go ahead on and get your, go ahead and get checked out. He left us, he went home, he came back in about 15 minutes. What is this about? Came back and wanted to know who was the paramedics, what center did they come from? I knew what that was about because you want to know if he was going to get a $400 bill in being charged. I said, no, you did not leave with him, so they're not going to charge you. Then he said, I'm going to the doctor. He went to Baylor Hospital, went in Saturday evening, he got out Monday, and they found nothing. The reason they found anything because he's been eating. And so he's gotten his sugar count back up where it needs to be. So he's going to his regular doctor. He's going to the regular doctor this week, and I think he goes tomorrow. He got an appointment. And I'm sure enough, I said, tell your doctor everything that you told me. He said, my feet tingle. Oh, you know? Okay. I said, well, Billy, man, a rocket scientist can tell you that something is going wrong in your body. You're diabetic. You know, I said, you know, not everybody has to weigh 500 pounds to be a diabetic. You know, it's just in your genes, you know. It's a generational curse. It came down from that lineage. I said, who else in your family have diabetes? My mama had it, my daddy had it, my cousin had it, my sister. I said, do you not see the story? Come on, Billy. Let's go and get yourself checked out. And so he's going to be putting on at least one tablet a year. I'm not a doctor. Okay, so I don't go ahead and try no malpractices against me about what I'm saying to you all here. But I told Billy, I said, look, go ahead, get yourself checked out, and tell them everything. Because that's what's important. We found out that barbers, that our men that we have, that they have barbers, but they don't have a doctor. That was the biggest thing that I found out. And it makes me to be careful about my health. And so I have my barbershop ministry. I started in 1989 in the barbershop because that's all I do. 1982, I was working for Brandon International, and I was working part-time as a barber. My wife was expecting our only child, Kendra. This was in May. And so Brandon went out in 1982. And what brought it to me, what really brought it home for me was the ministry. I said, God, you shut a whole airline down to get me back in the barbershop. And I made a promise to him. I said, Lord, I said, whatever job you give me outside of this, I said, I will continue to barber. For 29 years, 5 months, and 27 days, I was an IBMer. And on April 5th, 2013, God did it to me again. He shut it down and put me back into the barbershop. So we've been living off our 401k, and we've just been so blessed that we had that, and we thank God for that. And then the healthcare industry came on, and our President Barack Obama came up with the healthcare industry, and I'm glad he did. I'm glad he got it done. For me, it has been a blessing, because when you lose your job and you making the money that you've been accustomed to making, you had your insurance and everything, so then you walk away and you have nothing. In Texas, they got COBRA. They want you to pay $3,000 a month to have COBRA insurance. I said, get out of here. I mean, if I'd known April the 5th, 2013, I could have came to Oregon and hooked up with you all. You think I'll be in Texas? You know, but they want to charge me $3,000 for insurance. I waited till the last day for Barack Obama. I said, you know, I'm just going to pay the $1,000 because I'm really upset about the whole thing. That was the only thing I was kind of upset about it, him getting that bill passed. But you can't get everything you want, but you can get it. But you can get it. And so he passed the bill. And so it got to the last day. And so I went online because everybody was talking about how many times it crashed. But you're not going to be able to get it. I got in. And so what I ended up doing is filling out my paperwork based on my part-time work that I did previously. And when I did it, I qualified for some help. I get $435 a month from Obamacare because of a tax-paying citizen. My insurance is $379.37 a month, the care that I accepted. I pay less than 25 cents a year for my insurance because I get $435, I pay $379. You tell me why I'm paying them 24 cents a year. They should be paying me. That's one thing I would be good talking to President Barack Obama. But you know, when you talk about the disparities and everything, the death rate, we said the death rate is the average black person is 67 years. And John, you're gonna live 10 years younger, older than I, and but I'm not mad about it. And then we look at the African American gender gap, you know, versus the women's and everything. And so hypertension is a silent killer. It's a silent killer. And we just need to bridge that gap. But when we did the feasibility study there in the barbershop in Dallas, and it was so good that Cedars-Sinai Hospital in Los Angeles said, look, we know you have a good product. So Dr. Ron Victor, I want you, your staff, and everybody, I want you to come to Los Angeles. We said, we got some problems in Los Angeles. He said, well, what about Dallas? He said, well, look, you all train the people in Dallas so well that the people are managing their own health care. And so that is one of the reasons why he's so successful. In June, he got an $8.5 million grant, continuing the program in LA. I'll be flying to meet with him and his advisory board. We have our first advisory board meeting Monday, this coming Monday. And so it's been a blessing for me. It hadn't been a curse, it's been a blessing. And this is what I found out in doing the blood pressure checks. You see, I took the cup and wrapped it around me, and I looked like a doctor, right? I had my stethoscope there, right? And so I found out that my blood pressure was high. But I was doing the same thing as the other men's. Because I'm African American. Last time I checked, I've been in for 59 years. Just because I look like I'm black to you? I've been it all my life. And so I found out that when I would go into the doctor's office and I would sit down, and when I would go into the doctor's office, the nurse would come up, she'd weigh you first of all. I'm conscious of that. I know I'm big, but she would weigh you, and then she would check your blood pressure. Well, your blood pressure is high. Well, if I sit in there for 35, 45 minutes waiting for the doctor to come around to see me, I'm paying him. He's taking his time to come and see me. And then when he come in there, my blood pressure hadn't dropped down where it needed to be, but it dropped. He said, oh, your blood pressure is, you can do that with a little exercise and your diet, so you can regulate that. No, doc, I need another pill. I need blood pressure. At that time, we was taking it in the barbershop, the average was 138 over 85. And I said, I need another pill because I want to get my blood pressure down below 138 over 85. Today, the standard is 120 over 80. And so that's really what's important to us, that we do that. And that's what we're telling our men. This young man here, we call him Fat Cat. Fat Cat, they could never get his blood pressure right. Never could get his blood pressure right. But when he came in under the program, they gave him 4 different medicines. And that was the first time that he saw some improvement on his blood pressure. What we found out that there is African American men who has been taking blood pressure medicine for over 20 years. And they never reached that goal. And so the thing is to educate the doctors and tell the doctors that, no, we're not going to accept that. Shelby, and he was 38 years old at the time, and he found out he had hypertension. It's a silent killer. It's a silent killer. Wayne, Vaughn, high blood pressure. This was the crew at the time in 2007, Rossi Banks, Martha Moulton, James Brown, and Smitty. And so I changed it, the deal to read that it was 120 over 80. This postal worker said, we got it right. Said stamps should go up, but blood pressure should go down. And that's what it's about. In 2012, before I want to wrap it up, 2012, I went on a cruise with our organization, Caribbean cruise, and I did my annual physical on the 21st of May. And when I came back from the cruise, my wife said, the doctor needs to see you. Said, your vitamin D deficiency is low. He needs to see you. I said, I'm not going in there and give him $35 to tell me that my vitamin D deficiency is low. I said, I can go and get me some vitamin D tablets off the counter, and I can get my deficiency up where it needs to be. But the underlying fact, he wanted to tell me something else. That my PSA the year before, it went from 2.4 to 3.7. And he said, your PSA is rising. And he said 4%, we started looking at cancer and everything. So then he said, let's go ahead and do another blood work on you. And we'll come back and we'll talk. Within a month, my PSA number went from 3.7 to 4.12. My doctor moved the scale from 4% to 5%, then put on the paperwork, I'll see you in 3 months. I said, you won't. I'll probably be dead in 3 months if I wait for you. And so I went to the barbershop. I went to my brothers in the barbershop. Went to 2 ministers and I said, look, I need you to pray for me. And they prayed for me in the barbershop. They told me to sit down in the same chair that I've been cutting people's hair. Lay a hand on me, pray for me. I had a biopsy done that August 1st, 2012. On the 20th, I went back and got the results. Doctor said, no cancer. I said, well, look, I need some blood work. I need to see what my PSA numbers are. I didn't get that done until, because of the health care, I was on the Aetna, and they said, no, you can't do anything again until like November. So November is when I went back and they did the blood work. My PSA numbers were 1.94. You hear me? I'm here today, not because of just healthcare, because also I had a community of a barbershop believing friends who prayed for me. And so that's what Smittty is all about. A lot of times we can't get to the doctor. We don't have it like you all have it here in Oregon. We don't get to the doctor. Now we have Obamacare. And so each of the barbers that coming up behind me, come up under my leadership. I said, hey, you're gonna sit down, we're gonna fill out, we're gonna make sure that you fill out for it and see what we can do for you, because you definitely need your health care. You're not gonna be young all your life. And so that's the most important thing. I know my time is up. I just wanna thank you for that. Thank you again, John. Thank you again, Victoria and Sydney, for all your help, for everyone in this conference. I'm James Smitty Smith. And if you get to Dallas, Texas, come see me.
All right, everyone. Thanks, Steve. So all your questions, please join us at the reception, and you can